Welcome back to another tutorial. Today we are going to add this glowing hover effect to a button using HTML and CSS. So if you are new here and you're interested in anything related to HTML, CSS and JavaScript, make sure you hit the subscribe button so you do not miss any tutorial upload, and leave a like on this video if it helps you out. Now let's get right into it. So in the VS Code workspace, all we need is the HTML document and the CSS file. Now in the HTML document too, we have a boilerplate for a standard HTML5 document, and you can get this by typing in the exclamation sign and pressing tab, and this will be generated. In the title, we have this title for our document, glowing button hover effect, and then we have a link to the CSS file, style.css. And in the CSS file, I have this line of code that I copied from Google Fonts because I'll be using the Inter fonts family. If you want to know how you can change the font families in your project, I have a video on it in the top right corner. There is also a link in the description. Go and watch it so you know how to change the font family and add a Google font family to your project. Now in the body of the HTML document, create a button element with an inner text of button. And when you refresh, it appears over here. And this will be all the markup we need. Now in the CSS file, we first select all elements, and then we reset the margin, the padding also, and set the box sizing property to border box. Now this will remove the default margin padding, and also make sure that any borders or margins we add to our elements, their widths will be added to the element's total width. Next, we start with the body. First, we set the minimum height of the body to 100 VH. Then we centrally place our button, so set the display to flex and set the justify content and the align items property all to center. Then we set the background color of our body to black. And this is what we have. Next, we start the button itself. So we change the font family, that is the text inside this button. We change it to Inter, which is the font family we copied and pasted here. And then we add a fallback font of sans serif. Next, we increase the font size to 2.5 rem. Then we bolden the text. Then we can also add a letter spacing to create some space between the individual characters of the text inside the button. So the letter spacing, we set it to 0.2 rem. Next, we add a padding to the button. So 1.1 rem for the vertical, and then 1.8 rem for the horizontal padding. Next, when you hover over the button, you want a human hand, so set the cursor property to pointer. Next, change the background color of the button itself also to black, and then set the border to 2 pixels solid, and the color of the text and the borders inside this button, we set it to white. And this is what we have. Okay, so the border, we change it to 5 pixels solid. And then we set the position property to relative because we want to attach something to the button. So we set the position to relative, and then we set that element's position to absolute or any other positioning we want. Next, when you hover over our button, so we target it with the hover pseudo class, we want to set the letter spacing to 0.6 rem. Then we add a box shadow of 0 pixels to the right, 0 to the bottom, and 20 pixels blurred, and the powder blue color. And also the text color itself, set it to the same powder blue color. And then you come into the button declaration block and add a transition. All the properties 0.3 seconds is, so we can have a smooth transition. Next, we want to add some elements before our button, so we target it with the before pseudo element, and the content of it should be empty. Then the width of the element should be 30 pixels. The height should be 5 pixels. And we set the position of the before pseudo element to absolute. And since initially we set the position of the button declaration block, we set this positioning to relative. That means the element we are adding before will stick to the button when we position it. So let's position it all. So the top positioning, set it to -5 pixels. And the left positioning, we set it to 20%. And the background color of the element itself should also be black. So this is the element, as we can see. Assuming we set the color of the element to, let's say, red, you can see the red element here. So we change it to black. Now when you hover over this button, what happens to the before pseudo element? And initially the width is 30 pixels, so we set the width this time to 50 pixels. And then we set the left positioning to 20%. This time we set the left positioning to 70%, so it will move it to this side, as we can see. And we come back into the before pseudo element declaration block and add a transition for all the properties we set to 0.3 seconds ease, so we can have a smooth transition. Now with this element, you add another element after, and it will be positioned somewhere here. So we copy and paste this whole declaration blocks, and then we change it to the after pseudo element. Now the width and the height should all be the same. The position should be absolute, but this time the top position, we change it to the bottom positioning, so it will come and be at the bottom, and we shift it here. So with the left position, we change it to the right positioning. Now when you hover over it, the width should still be 50 pixels. Now we position it with the right. Since we change the left here to right, we also change the left over here to right, and this is what we have. So yeah, that's how to add a glowing button hover effect using HTML and CSS. I hope this video helped you out, and if it did, make sure to hit the subscribe button and leave a like on this video. Now let me know if you have any problems or any questions about HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Let me know in the comment section and I'll be glad to help. I'll see you in the next tutorial.